Maurice Roberts founded the first ET in '69 in New Orleans. There was probably about 600 people that went there. It was a great educational forum, but you mainly learned more about why you should buy from Alcoa and why their foo-foo dust #2 was the one you wanted to order, rather than what makes it work. So that was great, but when they went home and they told their boss, I was down in New Orleans and I listened to this seminar and I got these couple of papers, and the only thing they really took home is you got to buy it from Alcoa, or you got to buy it from so-and-so. You could never learn enough to help yourself. And it became apparent that if you wanted to have a real technology seminar, you had to have a seminar that people could take value home and use it. So for many years they couldn't develop enough of a push to have another seminar. And then in 1980 they did, and we had it in Atlanta. And we probably had, I would guess, maybe 800 to 1,000, perhaps, I don't think it was 1,200 people there. And what happened was it became a little bit more successful because Leo Werner, our uncle, who was the president of the company at the time, needed to send some representative to the AEC version of the joint committee, which was a joint committee between AEC and the Aluminum Association. And he looked around and he said, Bob's got nothing to do. He's in Chicago. I don't see what he's doing anyway, so we'll send him. So Bob went down there, and I assume suddenly I'm the vice chair, and the next round, which was in 1984, I'm the chair. What happened was, watching the '69 meeting, which was primarily more a sales pitch than anything else, and watching what we tried to do to cut back some of that in 1980, I came and I said, what if we did things differently? So the what if caused me to say, okay, we're going to have peer-reviewed papers. We're going to have 3 people qualified as technically competent in that particular subject to review the paper. And if it's not giving us something that somebody can take home as value, it's not going to be accepted. Number 1. We're going to have rules as to what you can say about your company. And it was, you can mention your company's name once, and if you mention it a second time, we shut the mic off. So we had tough rules. We set up a thing called ET time, which people still laugh about when they go to the ET meetings. And everybody sets their watch to the chairman's watch. Because for the next 3 days, we're going to run 120 to 160 different papers, running 20 minutes each, with 10 minutes of a quick Q&A. At the end of the half hour, people move to another session that may be anywhere in this big hotel, and everybody's got to start at the same time and end at the same time like a train, otherwise it's not going to work right. So we need an ET time. We had to train all the speakers as to how to speak well in a microphone, as to how to project, as to how to use slides, and you don't put 15 or 20 different things on a slide because nobody can see it. You have 7 lines maximum, and you really would like to have 4 lines if you could do it, but never more than 7. And you had to have certain colors. So we set up all of these things in manuals that we gave to all of the presenters. And we had meetings every day with all the presenters coming on that day to review everything they had to do. They could meet the chairman of that particular session and the co-chair. They could test out the microphones in rooms that we had set up for dry runs. And they could test out all of their video or audio stuff, so they knew in advance it would work. We had our chairs for each session go in to their session and test out the microphones ahead of time, test out the AV to make sure it all worked. Because if you go to a lot of meetings, you find out you open up the meeting and the first thing happens, the microphone doesn't work. You can't hear. Well, that's not acceptable.
You can't see the slide.
That's not acceptable in AT. So we set some really tough ground rules.